This morning, I'd like to talk to you about diabetes and possibly blood pressure. If we can't do it this morning, then we'll do it in the afternoon. Diabetes, high blood pressure, and obesity are sort of three brothers, you know. They're so all interconnected together. So if you have obesity, then you have a higher possibility of getting diabetes and high blood pressure. And if you have a diabetes, you have higher probability to be obese and high blood pressure. It's all like that, but they're all sort of related. So it is very interesting to learn about diabetes, why people get diabetes. So far, you learned about genes, and genes respond to the meaning, and also genes respond to the needs. And we found the Alzheimer's disease is what also due to some kind of interesting need, right? Producing what kind of substance? Presenilin, right? Brain themselves are trying to get older faster somehow, right? And also, you learned about autoimmune diseases. Actually, your own T cell is destructive to your own tissue because of what? Some kind of what? Guilty feeling, right? Because you need to be punished. That's the way you believe, or you rather be punished to have a peace of mind, or you know. Or you feel like dying, you know. I wish I could die, you know. Then T cell can what? Join your effort. And so it is very interesting, important to recognize that kind of things are in background of the physical disease. Diabetes is another very interesting problem, which is so common and so interesting. In diabetes, we all know that you have high blood sugar. The main reason people have high blood sugar in case they have diabetes is because sugar in the blood are not getting into the cells. Where is the destination of sugar in the cell? You learned already. Mitochondria, that's right. The final destination of the sugar getting into your cells is really mitochondria in the cell, which is the engine of the cell, where combustion happens. So inside the mitochondria, the sugar meets with oxygen, and then spark comes, and then combustion happens, then it will produce heat, then power, and also electricity, right? So as long as you're alive, this combustion is going on, your whole body cells produce some kind of electricity. When that doesn't happen, then the electricity production ceases and it becomes straight line, right? Yeah. And then you're dead. Okay. Yeah. So in diabetic situation, somehow sugars in the blood having hard time to get into cell. You know, it was a big question why sugars aren't getting into the cell in case of diabetes. So when I was in medical school, we learned very simplistically, because at that time we learned about insulin, and the insulin sort of what? Helps sugar to get into the cell. We know that much. So our interpretation of the cause of diabetes was simply the diabetic patient do not produce sufficient amount of insulin. So we thought it explained them all, you know. But later on, scientists begin to find out most diabetic situations, we call the adult diabetes, it is not the case of the juvenile diabetes. the little children get diabetes, that's a different, totally two different diseases we found out. In juvenile diabetes, they definitely have a problem with insulin production. They can't really produce sufficient amount of insulin. Why? It was autoimmune disease. See? Their own T cell is destroying their own insulin-producing cells in the pancreas. That's why they have a problem with insulin production. So it was autoimmune disease. It was T cell problem. See? And the T cell is causing this crazy T cell, this altered, changed T cell is destroying their own pancreas. That's why they have diabetes. But in the diabetes, you know, we call type 2 diabetes or adult onset diabetes. That wasn't the case. Because it wasn't autoimmune disease, which is destroying, in which T cell is destroying your own pancreas. See? And then scientists found out, in most cases of type 2 or adult onset diabetes, which we know as diabetes, has nothing to do with insulin production. In fact, then later on they checked, then they found out insulin production is fine. Fine, yeah, in most cases. Now we scientists got into trouble. Then we couldn't explain it, right? We thought it was a pancreas problem in terms of producing sufficient amount of insulin, but that wasn't so. The pancreas is having really not much problem producing sufficient amount of insulin. So that's why they named new name of diabetes called non-insulin dependent diabetes. It has nothing to do with insulin. See? So it is juvenile diabetes is insulin dependent diabetes. See? So scientists are having trouble to explain why then sugar in the blood is not really getting into the cell and eventually reaching to the mitochondria to have combustion and to produce energy. Then scientists found out there's a door. Doors open and close. Well, I call it door, but the scientists don't want to call them door because, you know, how scientists want to be so complex, right? So let me draw a picture of a cell. This is cell membrane and nucleus. And here's a chromosome. Okay. And here's a gene, green gene, and red gene, you know, all kinds of genes. And here's a mitochondria. Okay. And this is oxygen, O2, and then this is the sugar. Coming into the cell, into the mitochondria. Okay. Then we have to have what? Have to have spark. Okay. Then it produces heat, power, and electricity. We all call this, in one word, energy, right? Okay. For the sugar to come into the cell, there's a door, opens and closes. Very interesting. So here's a door. It's an interesting structure called door. So the door is open now, so sugar can come in. okay, from the blood into the cell, into the mitochondria. Okay. So this kind of structure, scientists call glucose transporter. Very complex word, isn't it? Glucose transporter, but I want to call it door. Okay. Then right next to the door, there is doorbell. Very simple, right? Yeah. It's just like an elevator, you know. All elevator has to have this the switch doorbell. Okay. Somebody has to push that doorbell for the doors to be opened. Okay. And what is going there to push the doorbell? Pushing the doorbell? That's the insulin. Okay. Insulin. Insulin. So as insulin pushes doorbell, then just like an elevator door, the doors open. Okay? A very elaborate system. This is the way God designed. Okay. Yeah. So when you eat something sugar, has sugar, and then you don't know what is happening inside, but God already programmed that sugar, as soon as brain recognized sugar, then brain called long distance call to pancreas, right? Hey, sugar just came in. You know. So then the pancreas will produce insulin even before the sugar reaches down to the pancreas. Interesting, right? Yeah. And but somehow among diabetics, this insulin was normal. You know, they produce normal. But yet, doors not opening properly. You know. So scientists eventually begin to say, diabetic patients have insulin insensitivity or insulin resistance. That means even though the patient produces insulin, the doorbell is not sensitive to insulin stimulation. See, that's what they call insulin insensitivity or insulin resistance. Okay. So let's just use one word. It's insulin resistance. Then you can ask them why they developed insulin resistance, right? Why? Why they become resistant? And scientists had no answer for that. You know. And we really didn't know why you become resistant. Yeah. At that time, we really didn't know anything about genes and so on. Okay. And but very recently, it was only about 2 years ago, scientists found why that the doorbell scientists call the insulin receptor, okay? But doorbell is much easier, isn't it? Door and doorbell, so easy, right? But scientists have to call glucose transporter and the insulin receptor. Yeah. So, you know what scientists found out? Why they are resistant to insulin stimulation, okay? And they found out new protein. Oops. New protein. Do you see what color is this? Yellow, okay. The yellow protein is covering up doorbell. That's what eventually we scientists found out. Only 2 years ago. See? So that's why even though insulin comes and pushes doorbell, since doorbell is covered, it was insensitive or resistant. See? That's what we found out. See? Okay? Interesting. Right? Then eventually, you know, where this protein, this yellow protein, cover protein, okay? So scientists call this cover protein, they put the good name called resistin. resist, right? Resist, you all know what resist means, right? And IN is substance. So resistin. So resistin is now, we now know the diabetic patient produces resistin in their own body. See? Isn't it interesting? See? So, where the resistin is produced? This is protein. Every single protein should be produced by what? By? Tell me now, as you look at, as you see. Produced from? From the gene, yeah. So they have resistin gene active. Normally you don't have resistin gene. But now you have resistin gene. That means what? That means you developed what? Need for the resistin, right? Why? Why in the world you need, some people need resistin? Huh? Why in the world? Why in the world diabetics has to produce resistin normally you are not really supposed to producing? Well, if you have too much sugar, you need more resistin. I mean, you need less resistin, isn't it? Because you need to put the sugar into the cell more, right? So if you eat the sugar a lot, there's no reason to produce a resistin. So we thought, when we are in medical school, if you eat a lot of sugar, you're going to get diabetes. No, that's not true either. Really, that's not true. Well, don't be happy. Okay. Why do you think, why in the world you need to produce the resistin to cover up, Can you think of anything? Why too much fat? Why too much fat would induce that? Okay. Our gene respond to the need. Okay. So it means that the diabetic patient has what? Developed the need to cover up doorbell. What a need, right? What a need. Why? So genes got the message. From where? You really wish to have diabetes? I don't think so. Nobody wishes to have diabetes. Everybody says, oh, I wish I don't get diabetes, right? So consciously speaking, people, nobody wishes to have diabetes. However, your cell, your genes recognize the need to produce resistin. Why?
Too many calories.
Why too many calories has to induce that? Okay. That means cell says, I don't have to open the door, right? Yeah. The reason why cell produces this resistin cover protein is, I don't want to open the door. That means what? I don't need for the sugar to come into my mitochondria. And that means what? In what situation?
No exercise.
No exercise, that's right. Yeah. If you don't do any exercises, why sugar has to come in, right? So no matter how much you say, oh, I don't want to have diabetes, I don't want to have diabetes, I don't want to have that. Oh, I hate to be diabetic. You know. It doesn't work. Doesn't work. If you don't do the real exercise. See? If you don't do any exercise, your cell says, why should we open the door? So why should we burn, right? There's no combustion needed, you know. So all the what? Sugar which cannot be burned have to go to what? Go to fat cell, stored as fat. See? So exercise is very important, my brothers and sisters. Exercise. Exercise is not only important for this kind of reason, but also it is very important for osteoporosis. It is even more important for the depression. See? Exercise, regular exercise is one of, especially you swim and walk. You know, walking in the forest is if you're depressed, walk. You know, when you're depressed, you never feel like walking. You know, why you never feel like walking when you're depressed? You never feel like walking. Go out to walk? Oh, no. That's the last thing you want to do when you're in the depression, you know. Why? Why you just never feel like go out and walk in depression? Why?
I feel like you don't have enough energy.
Hmm?
You know,
you just hate to go out and walk when you're in the depression. When you're in the depression, the biggest thing you want to do is what?
Sleep.
Yeah, you just get in the bed, cover yourself up in the darkness, and you only have that kind of desire, that's all. Why? Why you hate to go out to work? Why you love to get into the darkness? Why? Answer. Because speaker wants you to stay in the darkness, to continue on depression. You know that? Yeah. Because blue sky, this forest, you know, this is wonderful stimulation for the serotonin. That's the way God designed the nature this way. So whenever you're out in the nature, you know, it is God's will, it is God's plan. These blue colors and greens and trees and birds are stimulating. It is beautiful. It is what? So good, and so it becomes spark to your genes. So that's why you naturally can be relieved from the stress, depression, even without what? Medication. That's why Satan hates that. So that's why you cannot really understand why you hate so much to go out and walk when you're depressed. Why? Because it is Satan's objection. It's very powerful. No walk. No walk. Never walk. Yeah. So that's why if you don't feel like walking, that's the time you have to go out walking. You know that? Yeah. If you can't, then you even have to ask God to help you to get out there. Yeah. If you struggle and then you go out to walk, after 15 minutes, no matter how much you've been depressed, you begin to feel what? Wow, I'm glad I came out. This is much better than being in the what? Bed under the dark cover, you know? 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Okay. If you can do it every day, because it will be everyday struggle, but if you do it for just 7 days, then you'll have a confidence. Hey, I got it, you know? Really. Because exercise is really, it's God's will. Okay. So when you're depressed, the first thing you don't want to do is what? Exercise. I see here Peter, you know, pretty well fit, right? But he's working out every day. See? Even though you exercise, if you like work out like Peter, at least you can maintain pretty good sanity. You know that? Yes, which is extremely important. Somehow Peter got the spark, at least to do what? Work out, yeah. You know, but you know, you walk like that, but you do that pumping iron, but also what? Walk, yeah, walk, and humming. Look at birds, you know, as very important, you know, which is so important to prevent Alzheimer's disease and osteoporosis too. Because in osteoporosis, why women lose, you know, calcium from the bone? Because they don't do any exercise. They all worry about their son and daughters and grandchildren, and you know, worry and worry and worry. They're consuming themselves because bone and the calcium in the bone. You know, if you don't do any exercise, the calcium says in the bone, you know, why we are here? I don't think we are needed. Let's get out of here. You know, so that's why they get out. So no matter, even though you're Michael Jordan, you know, you're so strong bone, you know, but if he has an automobile accident, he stay on the bed for 3 months, you know, in the cast, he'll lose bone like a crazy. You know, every day you collect his urine, the calcium will come out, just because he doesn't do any exercise. Not doing any exercise is critically bad. Okay, it promotes what? Obesity. It promotes high blood pressure. It promotes diabetes and osteoporosis, Alzheimer's disease. You know, depression. You know, up until 1970, mid-70s, in Korea, we didn't have depression. Why? You know why? Because we didn't have a car. Everybody had to what? Walk. At least 1 or 2 hours a day to go to work, to go to school. You know, nobody can get depressed, even though you want to be depressed. See? Yeah. Don't you enjoy the way Herbert just laughed, right? Boy, how long it's been, Herbert? You laugh like that. That's it. See, you're coming out, right? Yeah. Yes. Ha 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 ha. See? Yeah. Yeah. That is not the depression laugh, right? Yeah. Yeah. Great laugh. That's all. That's right. Laugh. Walk and the laugh. Sometimes, you know, I used to be a very shy boy, extremely shy boy. When I see the yellow dog, Lizzie, when I see Lizzie, I feel like I'm looking at myself. When I was a little boy. Always behind somewhere, right? Yeah, yeah. Stay away, you know, behind. Always afraid is somebody going to hit me, you know. Scold. That's the way I was. Because I told you I developed diarrhea, right? Yeah, yeah. Because the reason why I developed diarrhea was my father was, at that time we were under the Japanese. So I had a Japanese name, you know. And all Koreans have to change. They have to give up their own Korean name and have what? Japanese name. Japanese really try to, you know, have Korea just, you know, they tried very hard. They almost succeeded, you know. And so, so when they are defeated in 1945, at that time I was only 2 years old. And so we were when Japan invaded Manchuria, and then they begin to build the road and the railroad and bridges and all this civil service work. And my father was a civil engineer there, and we were like high-class people, and so we were like among the Japanese. So when Japanese were defeated on August 15th, 1945, all Chinese in the neighborhood was trying to kill Japanese, and we had to run away. We can't say we're Korean, we have Japanese name already, So we had to get on the train and then go back to Korea, and then Russian Air Force, begin to bomb and shoot at us, and so about half the people on the train died. I was there even only when I was only 2 years old. So it was a severe stress caused this diarrhea, chronic diarrhea. And so I was weak. In a way, I was total wimp, really. I couldn't play with other children. Okay. It was until I was like 14 years old. When I became 14, 15 years old, somehow God sparked me, and I realized, I can't be this way forever, right? I can't. I was always behind the scene. You know how I was shy and afraid, fearful, because every morning there's a roll call, right? George, Irma, Jay, so everybody said, yeah, yes, here. I was so afraid of that. My teacher calling, Sang, Lee. I couldn't say, yeah, here. I never could ask question. That kind of boy I was. So changed, right? Yeah. Man can change. Yeah. Drastically changed. Who in the world, thought Sang Lee, this is, nerdy, wimpy Sang Lee, gonna speak in front of thousands of people. It was unbelievable transformation. You know how it happened? I did not know God. I was atheist. But even to the atheist, God gives spark, right? Yeah. And I said, no, I cannot live like this. At that time, the something I really wanted to do was laugh together with a classmate. Because when teacher, during the class, teacher jokes, and then everybody, ha, 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 they laugh. Oh, I wish I could laugh like that, Oh, how much I wanted to laugh together, but I couldn't. I could. And I thought in my heart, the God is speaking to me actually, saying, you can laugh, But I didn't know how. You know what? The spark God said to me, practice. So I made up my mind to practice. Do you know how difficult it is to practice to laugh? Huh? Yeah. It was life and death to me, really. Really. Where are you going, Herbert? Huh? You want to come forward? Yeah, come here. Yeah, come here. You need it. Yeah. Yeah. And so, I had a small mirror, on the desk. Right? I closed all the door, locked the door, because I was so embarrassed, I look at the mirror. I begin to smile. You know what I found out? What I found out? It was so difficult. Why? And I couldn't understand why it is so difficult. Why is it difficult?
Well, you didn't feel it inside.
That's what it's, you know, factually speaking, there is no reason it should be difficult, right? Nobody's around. It's all by yourself. All you have to do is what? Yes. But there was like a day and night. Oh, it's difficult. And I was thinking, why it should be difficult? Then I realized I can be embarrassed at myself. Nobody is looking at me. I thought embarrassment only comes from somebody else. But for the first time in my life, I realized embarrassment originates right here. You know? I thought it was coming from somebody else. They are making me embarrassed. That was a lie. That was Satan's lie. Embarrassment begins right here. You know? That was the truth I found at that time. I was only what? Only 15 years old. Embarrassment. Wow. And I said, well, I can ignore this, right? If it is somebody coming, really embarrassment coming from somebody else, it's hard to ignore, but it's mine, you know. Okay, I'm not going to be embarrassed. Why should I be embarrassed at myself, right? So I said, okay, I'm gonna smile. That was a huge step for me forward. But if that moment wasn't there, I don't know what I'm doing now. Probably I'm sitting somewhere in the, I'm. Yeah, it's unbelievable, you know. And so I did that smile. 1, 2. Eugenia, you are embarrassed, right? Isn't that interesting? Why she should be embarrassed when I was practicing, laughing? See, embarrassment is inside. If she would do the same thing, she will be embarrassed, right? That's why she's laughing. Yeah. Wait. Don't be deceived by embarrassment. Really. It's you. It's nobody else. It's you. The stupid you. It's stupidity, isn't it? Yeah. But we are almost enslaved by stupid me. You know that? Yeah. And so that was a big leap for my perspective for my life, really. So I decided to do half an hour every day. Why are you laughing? Still embarrassed, right? Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? After third day, okay, it was fourth day, the moment I look at my smiling face, I begin to feel good. Finally, my endorphin gene is what? Waking up. Wow. And I felt good. Okay. And it looked much better, you know. Yeah. That's why I don't have this frowning, line, really. Because I decided I'm not going to frown, see. Whenever I frown, I have to frown. Because there was a lot of moments I had to frown, with the children, with marriage, with everything else. You know what? I learned a lesson then, that if I smile, if I do something positive, then I can get better. And so without being Christian, I become pretty wise in that aspect. So whenever I have to frown, I begin to whistle. And that was my preparation for Christianity, I think. Yeah, really. And so I continued on living there that way. Yeah. That's why I have no frowning line. So So when I finished 1 week, it became almost natural. You know? Wonderful. I felt great. I felt what a, accomplishment. Nobody thinks it's an accomplishment, but I think so. Yes. Because you know what is the biggest accomplishment is? Overruling my embarrassment. Stupid me. See? Yes. The stupid me was created by speakers, right? Yeah. Yes. Sang, you're laughing. That's the Satan said. You want to laugh. That's embarrassment, isn't it? Embarrassment is Satan. Really? Because Satan is what? Making me fun of me. You're trying to laugh. Don't laugh with him, okay? Don't laugh with him. No. No. You know what the new start of life is? Ruling over the embarrassment. You know that? That's what new start life is. Because everybody says, you're vegetarian, you don't eat meat. Embarrassing, isn't it? You don't drink coffee. Like right now, last night, the New York, Cleveland, Toronto, Detroit, and all this northeast and the southern Canada has a blackout. It's the biggest blackout in U.S. history. Okay. You know what the biggest problem is? They can't have a coffee this morning. I said, that's good. You don't drink coffee? What an embarrassment. But, you have to be. We are getting embarrassed about something we need to be proud of. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. And I want to be proud of what I need to be proud of, right? Yeah. And so I practiced and practiced, and then I mastered the smile. From now, next step is what? Laughing with a little sound. And I practice that. Whenever I come home from school. Boy, I felt good. You know what? We are talking about freedom. Do you know what? When are you going to be free? When you overrule your embarrassment. Yes. That means you're overruling Satan inside. Really. Yeah. Really. And wow, I felt wonderful. Wonderful. If somebody else looked at me, I was crazy, right? Yeah. But I was getting sane. I'm recovering my sanity. You know that? Yeah. And I become confident. So in the class, I could laugh. And I was so amazed about myself. Hey, Sang, you're some, you're great. I said, okay. You know what? I begin to dream at that moment. I'll be the best laugher in the class. Really. And summer vacation start. I went to my grandma. Grandma had an apple orchard. Huge, about 10 acre, a big apple orchard. And it was right next to the ocean and a beautiful area. And I want to be, after the summer vacation, I want to be the one who laughed loudest in the class. That was my dream. So I went to apple orchard. I begin to, have a voice training. And I begin to shout, Yahoo! Then, for the first time in my life, I heard echo of my voice. First time in my life. And I didn't know my voice can go that far and come back. Wow! You know, I heard somebody else's, but I never thought mine can do that. It was eye-opener, you know. You know what? I have a potential. You know that? Yes. And I love to shout then, Yahoo! Yahoo! Then, Yahoo was a kind of wasting of energy, you know. I bought a songbook. I begin to train song. You know. I begin to sing. Yeah. And then I begin to laugh. Ha 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 ha. Wow! Everything coming back, you know, by echo. And I was a pretty good singer by then, you know. And my laugh is no problem. After summer vacation, I came back to class. I was a different boy. When my teacher threw a joke, I said, ha ha ha! Everybody look at me. I said, great, this is wonderful. That's the beginning of my life this way, you know that. Yeah. Isn't that wonderful? Boy, you know. Boy. Okay. Peter and Herbert, right? Yeah. You're gonna go that way, right? Amen, right? Yes. See? Yeah. See? Why should you be embarrassed, right? You know, embarrassment is something very funny. So that's why, you know, when I found God, I said, I really want to find God, because then I know I could be best, you know. And then, then health message, okay, how to do it best, you know. I was striving best for everything. Okay, Wima is best, I said, you know. Okay. And on top of that, there's a George Chen is there. I'm going to Wima. And that's how it went. So I begin to drink water and exercise. Whenever I have a chance, I have exercise. Do you know how important the stretching is? You know, we do this, you know. Okay. But I was thinking, why people do that, you know? Well, so how much exercise is this, you know? Yeah. Right? Well, I'd rather jog, you know? Yeah. But you know what? About 4 years ago, the exercise physiologists found this stretching is the most important thing to do. Really. Yeah. And I totally ignored stretching. See? Yeah. See? Wow, right? Yeah, wow is right. You know why? Because look at this, you know. All the way down. I couldn't do it. Okay? I couldn't do it. And like when you kick, look at this. You go above my head, right? This is unbelievable. Do you know what this means? The stretchability, the flexibility. This is very important. You know why it is important? You know, I recently found out our health, we all know that, all doctors know that, our health depends upon what? Circulation. Yeah. No matter how you eat well, if you don't circulate, your health is, you know. How can you be healthy? Without what? Circulation. Circulation means what? Delivery of oxygen and nutrient every corner of your body, right? Do you know who takes care of that job? Delivering oxygen and nutrient to every small remote corner of the... What if, you know, Federal Express does not come to, you know, Safford? Then this is a country way behind, right? State way behind. But everything comes to the end, right? That is the what? Strong nation, isn't it? Strong state. It's the same thing. Circulation is critical. See? So, how can you get that circulation? Huh? Road, isn't it? There's a road. Even to the Safford, there's a road from Phoenix. Yeah. 3 hours away from Phoenix, there's a road. That's why Federal Express can come, right? I hope it comes today, I'm expecting something. Yeah. And you know what is that road? The Federal Express comes in your body. What is that? Capillaries. Capillaries. We've been ignoring capillaries for health for a long time. If you don't have capillaries stretched out and developed, then you are nothing. Really. See? Do you know why your muscle, your leg does not go up like this? Why? Because of lack of capillaries. That's right. Because it hurts. See, if you go, like at the beginning, when I was doing stretching beginning, this is all I could do. Then what happened? It is aching here. Why? Because my muscle says, we don't have a capillaries yet. But when you don't have a capillary, there's no oxygen supply, right? Then you stretch, it hurts. Because of lack of oxygen, really. See? Right? So, if you keep on doing this, then capillary is very, very interesting. Whenever there is a need, let's say muscle cell says, this guy is beginning to do the stretching. And if you do it, that's why the regular basis is a very good message. If you do it irregular, then your muscle says, I don't think this guy's really interested. Because regularity means a consistency, right? That even though you do it regular, very short time, your muscle says, we have to call what? We have to call the capillaries. So every cell, when they need the capillaries, they produce some kind of substance, protein called angiogenin. Angiogenin, okay? Well, where's diabetes? We're far away from diabetes. We'll come back. Angio means capillary, okay? Genin. Gen means what? Production, right? Generation. In angiogenin. So cell produce angiogenin. So when angiogenin is produced and then throw it to the capillaries, then capillaries says, okay, we're coming to your direction. See? So it is stretching makes your muscle cells produce what? Angiogenin, allure, right? Invite the capillaries to come in. See? That's how much it is important. So if you do, it's incredible. Look, I never thought my feet can go up above this. And yet, this feels so good, no pain, Yeah. Why? Now my muscle is stretchable. Why? Because there is what? Capillaries reach there. See? So everywhere, good capillary. At the beginning when I was doing this, I was, it hurts. I couldn't go beyond this. Now, look, completely stretching. Okay. It hurts, right? Yeah. See? So, like this, also, it is not just the capillaries. Now, this is a balancing, isn't it? There's so many older people, okay? Ethel, listen carefully, okay? So many older people nowadays, they fall in the room. Isn't it stupid? It's room. They fell and they broke the bone. You know? It's terrible. Guess why? They lost the balancing mechanism. If you, but like you're in the car, you're in the couch, you're on the bed, you know. You know what? All the synapses in the brain, which what? Which handles what? Balance, is all, you know, the wires, all what? All untangled and then just disappears. That's why you cannot take balance. Why? Because you never have to take balance. So that's why it is important, you know, to play what? Ping pong, play badminton, you know, do this, right? Yeah. It's very important. You can't have just and get all the, and still say, You lose everything. If you don't do what? Exercise. You're going to get older very quickly. See? Because internally you get older much faster without doing exercise. See? So that's why, like, it is so good to, stretch. Stretching is so important. I don't know. I don't know why scientists didn't find this a long time ago. You know, I so regret that I ignored stretching. I never participated in the stretching session. Oh, silly things, you know, people do. Nobody explained, you know. Nobody explained why, you know. But now I know, you know. Stretching is built in God's program in the gene. You know that? Do you know why I say that? Look at David and you know, the cats and dogs. Whenever they take a little nap, you know, they never miss a stretching session. Yeah. Yes, it's in the gene. I never gave them lecture. See? Because God want to keep what? Capillary system what? Stretched out to the end. Yeah. God want to keep them what? In a very healthy dog. That's why God give them spark and there's a stretching program. And they just do it. You know. We human being has that too, right? Almost instinctively, when you take a nap in the morning, what? We do what? Yeah. Oh, do this. And this is why, because we need to do that. God knew that we need to do that. See, yeah. That's why every morning, so I do stretching session twice a day. You know, just before go to bed, I go through. You know. And then just you feel great. You know. I think that's the one reason that when I had an automobile accident about 10 days ago, you know, I was okay because my muscle is so stretchable. No problem. You know, shaken, you know. It's been stretching, you know. So no problem, no big deal. When my wife is sick for 2 weeks now, okay? She's okay now. And she says, honey, now I can go out and walk and buy some fruit and come back to hospital. You know. So in Korea, in hospital, you can step out hospital too. It's a pretty free country, you know. And, so glad she's okay. But you know, I am finding if you really live according to God's plan, you are so resilient, really, incredibly resilient. And your immune system and everything is so resilient. And, but the problem is it is superoxide radical. You know, so. Okay, now let's go back to diabetes. capillaries, right? Capillaries. You know. When you have a capillary problem, you have a big problem. Like when you have complications of diabetes, what's the problem? It's a capillary problem. See? Because of diabetes, you're what? You're losing capillaries. Because blood is so what? Sugary, highly concentrated sugar, so, and then it what? It begins to kill the capillary cells. So damage to capillary is shrinking. That's what the complication is all about. It's a capillary problem. See? When you don't have a capillary system well developed, then you cannot really what? You cannot really have a blood comes out. You know, your heart try hard to what? To pump blood all the way to the scaffold, right? All the way to the corner, but there's no capillary. Do you know what your heart says? We need to pump harder. Yeah, that's how your blood pressure goes up. So that's why if you develop this new capillary system, then heart relax. Hey, we don't have to what? Pump that hard to send the Federal Express to Safford, right? Yeah. Yeah. And so relax. So capillary system, well-developed capillary system, make your entire system what? So relaxed. I'm so happy to find this, you know. Yeah. The reason I find this because I was so, it was one day I was reading Time magazine in the airplane, you know. And at the Time magazine, the scientific science section says, stretching. Woohoo! How I made fun of stretching for a long time, you know. Yeah. Why are you guys doing that? You know, just work. You know. Yeah. Yeah. And oh, what a mistake, you know. Yeah. Then I realized stretching is built in God's what? God's program to maintain a capillary system. Praise the Lord, right? Praise the Lord. Right. So, now, so lack of exercise, if you don't do the exercise, there's no need to produce energy, right? No need to produce energy. Then why should you open the door, right? You don't need to bring the sugar in because you're not producing energies, right? So you develop need to cover up what? Door, right? So you're responding to the need. No matter how much you say, I wish I don't have diabetes. It doesn't matter. It is your lifestyle if you don't do the exercise. Exercise is related to so many areas. It's related to immune system too. If you enjoy exercise, your T cell becomes stronger. You know. Your brain cells are happier. You know, produce more serotonin. You know, and so on. So it is bicycling. You know, walking. It is sort of of course, you know, you can do workout. You know, pumping iron, but it is what? Repetitious movement with the fresh air and joy. That's the most stimulating to what? Brain, to produce endorphin and serotonin, you know, so on. And so, lack of exercise will be what? Will be the factor which enhance the need to produce resistance, right? Can you see the point now? Okay. Then second, high-fat diet. The food is too greasy. When food is too greasy, what happens is that your blood becomes too greasy, and all these red blood cells, which carries the supply the oxygen to the cells, can stuck together. And it is just like a rush hour superstition boulevard in Phoenix. It's all stuck, you know, and the red blood cell cannot move. You know. Then your cells don't get any oxygen. When your cells do not get any oxygen, there is no need to open the door to get what? Fuel in, right? because you're not going to be able to burn, because oxygen is not coming because of high-fat diet. Right? That's why when you eat high-fat diet, you develop less need to open the door. So there's a lot of doorbells you're not going to use, so they cover it up. Okay? According to the need. Okay. Then third, if you don't do the exercise, okay, then your number of watt will decline in the cell. You learned. Mitochondria, that's right. If you are chronically, long-term sedentary person, you gradually lose the number of mitochondria. Well, because mitochondria is there to produce energy for you, but you never do the exercise. Then if you had 300 mitochondria, it goes down to 200, 160, 120, like that. Then you can be very vulnerable to develop diabetes. Then as your number of mitochondria is going down, your tendency to gain weight is going to what? Increase exceedingly. Why? Because you cannot burn all these. That's the only way is what? You have to store the leftover in the fat cells. Yeah. So when you don't do the exercise, it's really disastrous. Okay? Yeah. And so really, please do exercise. Exercise is far more important than healthy diet, believe me. Okay. All right? If you have only one choice, do the exercise and eat hamburger and ice cream. Okay? And not do the exercise and have a whole wheat bread and this and that, potato and so on. I don't know. I rather choose, hamburger and ice cream, and exercise. See? That can maintain your health a whole lot better. See, exercise. Yeah. So go out there to do the exercise. A lot of people are embarrassed doing exercise. A lot of people are embarrassed doing stretching. I do stretching usually in the airport or in the airplane. It is so, embarrassment is something very interesting. When my daughters were, in teenagers, like they're 14, 16, whenever I begin to do the stretching in shopping center, do you know who was embarrassed? My daughter said, "Daddy, please stop it." I said, "Why? Daddy is doing exercise, Why you guys are so embarrassed? You're not doing it." We are embarrassed. Embarrassment is something so stupid, right? Your dad is trying to be healthy and you are embarrassed. What is that? But they are, the teenagers, It is when they're teenagers, this embarrassment is the biggest issue. They live simply not to be embarrassed, That's the biggest pressure. To be a great person, you need to conquer the embarrassment, right? Yeah. To come out of depression, you need to conquer the embarrassment. So even today, and I'll be getting on the airplane, Korean airline from Los Angeles to Seoul, Sunday morning, and I'll be doing stretching in the plane. Okay. Americans are pretty good, not really butting into somebody else's business, right? So they mind their own business. That's excellent, So it's pretty much less stressful. But you know what? Koreans mind somebody else's business a lot. Really, we do. We have a lot of opinion about others. No, it sounds bad, but actually it meant to be good from beginning, because we wanna love each other. We wanna pay attention. Then it sort of turned around 180 degrees. Now we're criticizing, sort of make, I think we gotta get rid of that, negative side of minding business, other people, and redevelop this positive side of minding somebody else's business. But anyway, if I do the stretching, okay, sometimes I have to do this. Okay, it is balancing. Okay, it looks like nothing, but it is very important inside the brain to be what? To be centered, right? To be balanced. You need that. So then some Korean passengers begin to notice there's a strange guy doing strange things. Okay, and they what? They give signal. Hey, look. Silly guys are doing funny thing, Yeah. There's a Korean language we call the 병신 육갑, and so they look at me, Do you know what I do to them? Yeah. I know they are going to look at me. I know that. I'm expecting that. Yeah. And they look at me. I say, "Hi, Anya. How are you doing?" Boy, they're so embarrassed. They're trying to make me embarrassed, right? And I simply say, "How are you doing?" They are so, they never look at me again. Embarrassment seems to be strong, but actually you face, confront, they go away. Satan do that. Yeah. When you're afraid, they are so strong. But when you face them, "Hey, what's wrong with you? How are you doing?" Go away. Yeah, really. So this is all wisdom, right? Yeah. And so you feel great. And so then after stretching, I brush my teeth and I go to sleep. So after stretching, you only sleep 2 hours. You feel great, so refreshed. And so whenever I get off the airplane, always people say, "Dr. Lee, you don't look tired." Of course I'm not tired. Really. It is amazing. That's why I could go on and on like this without being pooped. See? Yeah. It's stretching, regular exercise. So I walk every morning. I miss Herbert and Peter to walk together in every morning. No. Begin to walk. Really. It's wonderful in the fresh air early in the morning, especially early in the morning. If you walk early in the morning, whole day you feel great. Yeah. Yes, whole day. Yeah. If Satan says, "Don't wake up," then that's never God's voice, okay? God will always say, "Wake up, Robert. Enjoy the nature I created. Enjoy the fresh air I made it for you, I say, "Yes, I'm coming." Bird, enjoy the bird singing for you, Yeah. You go to Andrews campus, It's nice to. When I was there, I was jogging every morning, and walking, Oh, it's wonderful. Okay. When we have a youth program in Andrews, let's do that together, okay? Yeah. And so we're dreaming about having what? Youth program in Andrews sometime. And so we'll let you know. And we're going to have fun, right? Yeah. And so So when your mitochondria declines, then you have a tendency to develop diabetes very easily. See? Okay, 3 conditions, right? Number 1, lack of exercise, high-fat food, right? Decline in mitochondria number. Then 4th, look at the picture and tell me what is, actually this is the most important cause of diabetes. Because when you stop right here, you'll develop a lot of questions. You know. Okay, you'll ask me, Dr. Lee, I know somebody who doesn't do any exercise, who loves to eat high-fat food, right? And doesn't seem to have many mitochondria, but he doesn't have diabetes, right? There are quite a few people like that around us. But on the other hand, there's somebody trying to do exercise, trying to eat healthy, you know, trying to what? Raise up the number of mitochondria, yet they have diabetes, right? Why is that? Look at the picture. You have the answer right there. Probably this is the most important cause. That's as you look at the picture carefully, it's a spark. Lack of spark. Even though you don't eat high-fatty diet, even though you do the exercise, you know, you're complaining. Oh, boy, I wish I could eat ice cream at McDonald's, but but I don't. I have to prevent diabetes. You know. I gotta do exercise. Dr.Sang says I have to do the exercise. Boy, this is too hard. You know, there's no spark in everything, right? Hate it. Hate means what? No spark. It's actually it is what? Negative spark. When there's no spark, you do everything right, you still have diabetes. There's no spark coming. Why should your cell open up for sugar to burn the energy, right? To burn the sugar to produce energy. There's no spark. That's why it needs to close down, right? Wow, the spark is the most important thing, see? So that's why, even though there's a lot of people on healthy diet, exercise program, and so on, they still have diabetes. It doesn't get better. Why? They did not know what spark was. See? Many of my patients in my program, they found this. Wow. We need a spark, right? Do you know what that means? We need the joy, we need the hope, we need the love, we need the truth. You know, right? Yes. You know, learning about this alone is very sparky, isn't it? Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. That alone, this alone can improve your diabetes tremendously. Just learning about it. You know. And then you make up your mind quietly. I'm going to do exercise. Okay. I'll be happy to do exercise. Then your gene get that message, you know. Okay, this guy is going to be happy with exercise now. Okay. Should we manufacture more resistance? So they have to have a committee meeting to talk about it, whether they go ahead to produce more resistant or not, right? See? So as you enjoy this New Start program, especially you found there is a God who sends you the spark, right? Yes. The nature of spark is what? The truth and the goodness and the beauty, and the love of God. That's the spark. And then naturally you develop what? Natural desire to know God more than you do now. Yeah. See, this is our purpose, see? So we can definitely make people healthier, but actually open up their eyes to the truth of God, right? Love of God, see?
We have His law written on our
That's right. That's what the purpose of health message is. See? It's not that the non-meat message. Non-meat, no meat, no meat. As long as you don't eat meat, you're okay. You know. That's bad. We degraded our health message down to non-meat message. You know. Some people eat meat and they say, we don't eat pork, so it's a non-pork message. Terrible. It's getting worse and worse. Okay. So, and I actually experience this kind of situation a lot. Even though they do everything perfect, yet their diabetes gets worse when there's no spark. Whenever they get on the exercise, they complain, oh, I hate this, you know. Their sugar level goes up. Yes, believe me. So actually I had one couple in Korea, you know. This woman, wife, listened to my lecture. And she was convinced, and how convincing when I give lecture, right? And she got so convinced. And then she began to give all vegetarian food. And husband was shocked. One day he came back from work, and it was all green, you know. There's nothing red. And he was mad. And she explained, Dr. Sang said this, Dr. Sang said that. And so it sounds like it makes sense to him, right? So he couldn't refuse it. Why? He could realize his wife is doing her best. But he hated the food. So he hated food. Now, after the eating, and his wife says, now walk, you know. He was angry. And the wife was so eager, anxious to get him on the, good New Start program at home. She was pushing and pushing and pushing, and her husband is getting angrier and angrier. And then, he went back to hospital. Doctor found out diabetes was worse. And it was under desperation, wife called me, from Korea to Wima. And I was listening, and I knew there is a problem with the spark, right? I asked all the questions, everything else, she was doing fine, wonderful job. But as far as spark goes, nothing. She is irritating, irritating. No matter how good you do, you shouldn't be irritating, right? Yeah. And also, so I said, do you love your husband? I asked that critical question. And you know what she says? Actually, well, if you love your husband, you're not going to irritate him. Because you're going to be patient. You're going to wait, But you irritate him so much, like a Patty does. Anyway, and do you love your husband? And be honest. She sighed. On the phone, she says, I don't love my husband. Then how come you're so interested in, getting him healed? You know what the answer was? The answer was such a funny answer. You know what she says? I need diamond. Wow. I said, what are you talking about? But they are very wealthy. Husband is a very wealthy man. They're in the business of this shipping company, huge shipping company, international shipping company, very wealthy. And so she had to have, she has some kind of fixation on diamond, she has to have best, most expensive diamond ring among her friends. So far she had that. But recently, another friend has an even better diamond than she has. Okay? Now she is demanding better diamond than hers. You know how much was it going to cost? $120,000. Yes. Yeah. And so, the real good one, cost that much. And her husband was mad. And this wife is irritating him continually. So, in Korea, 60th birthday is a big deal. So she was expecting her 60th birthday about 6 months later. And she wanted to have that $120,000 diamond on 60th birthday. She was kept on reminding him not to forget. How irritating, right? For diamond, you cannot buy with a credit, Diamond, you have to pay cash, that. $120,000 cash for a little stone, For a businessman, it is what? It's so irritating, isn't it? Yeah. But he knows he has to do that. But he hates to do that. So everything is hating each other. And this wife knows he hates to do it, but she has to get it. There's no love between them. Only what? Transaction, So the reason why she was really pushing him in the healthy diet was for the diamond, Really, because he has to be healthy. And husband can what? Feel that. That's why, even though he listened to the explanation, it was a good program, yet he didn't feel like doing it. Why? Because the whole purpose of the program is what? For him to be healthy, to make enough money, come up with the cash. That's why he hated the whole thing, And I explained about spark. Spark is love. So there's no love in your program. That's why your husband gets worse. Even though you're doing everything else perfect. Then I said, I call health legalism. Health legalism. Doesn't need a spark. Whatever you do, just do specifically well. And she sighed. And I said, do you think you can love your husband more than diamond? You know what she says? Dr. Lee, I don't think so. Would you like to try to be that way? You know what she says? How nice would it be if I could love my husband more than I love diamond? She said she wanted to be that way, but she can't. I said, Miss So-and-so, it is possible. She was so shocked. How can it be possible? I said, did I speak to you about spark? She said, yes. Spark can change you. Aha! Right? Ah. So, you know what she says? Dr. Lee, you sound like you have lots of spark. Could you help me to be changed? I wish I could. Then I know I'll be happier than I am today. The only happiness comes from diamond for the time being. I said, well, probably I could help you by introducing you to the source of the spark. I said, what is that? That's God. He said, God sent a spark. Yes. You want that? See, you notice that I have a lot of spark. Do you know why? Because I have God, which you don't have. He says, if that's God, I like to have that. So, okay, let me pray for you that my God give you the spark. She says, please do. The conversation was so smooth, you know. So we prayed on the phone. I prayed, oh, God, please go to her and give her the spark. And she wants to love her husband more than she loved Diamond. And she said, yes. And I knew she was accepting that, you know. Then I said, if you don't know how to pray, just repeat the prayer I prayed for you every day. Maybe twice a day, 3 times a day. She said, I'll do it. 4 days later, she called me and she said, I have it! I have the spark. You know, people experience that, you know, if you're really sincere. And when husband came back, she says, honey, you don't have to buy me diamond. She said, honey, do you know, honey, about diamond, she said. Then her husband shouted at her, I told you I'm going to buy that damn thing for you, you know. She says, no more, I don't need it. He said, what? Then he realized her face was peaceful. He never saw that before, you know. And what got into you? And he told him all the story. Honey, I lost love for you. Now, I have that back. You know. And you know, as I told you last night, right? God gave me a new heart, right? When I have experience, I can mean that to others, really. So when I say that, it's really true, and that's why they feel the spark. Because what? I experienced it, it is true, it's a true spark, is much more powerful voltage to shake their genes, you know. So that's why people realize that. Yeah. And then husband was so touched. Somebody out there called dr.Sang changed his wife. You know what he said? Okay, you don't need diamond. Then what do you want for me to give you for your birthday? You know what she said? Let's go to Weimar. That's why he came. Actually, coming to Weimar for 3 weeks was more difficult than diamond, really. Really, yeah. 3 weeks, you know. 3 weeks. He came. And when he heard this lecture, he had the tears in his eyes. And he held his wife's hand, honey, thank you. You saved my life. From that point on, exercise was no longer exercise. It was a date. You know, holding hands together, singing and walking. Wow. You know, do you need that the yellow gene produce resistin anymore? No. Suddenly, resistin gene becomes so lonely. Meaningless to be here, right? Unneeded. They said, let's close up. There's no more business here. You know what? After 2 weeks, his diabetes completely come down, normal. 3 weeks later, he's completely okay. See, that's the healing by the word, right? Yeah, word of God, the truth of God heals you, the love. See, so it is important for us to teach, love one another in the word of God. See, this is the purpose of our health messages.
Amen.
Yeah. We can lower, cholesterol, we can lower blood pressure, we can lower, but, if you make them feel that, oh, this diet is good, then did we really achieve something? We need to really question. It's really, they find God. Their relationship become different, changed. Yeah. And so, the healing comes with God, right? Yeah, healing comes with it. Healing and God and truth, love of God, is one package, you know that? But many times we separate that. We make it dualistically. So that's why Ellen White said it is evil to separate, right? The health and the gospel. So that's why, yes, by learning about diabetes, you learned best stuff about diabetes, but at the same time, we learned about God, right? See, so through the health, show God, that's the truly right arm, right? Right hand of this entire modern day truth. Praise God. Amen. Amen. Yeah.